Everybody, I'm Kelly Hogan, and welcome back to my Zero Carb Life. I got an email maybe 48 hours ago saying, I have a carnivore story and I would love to share it. And I said, that's fantastic. So I've invited Heidi here. Heidi is in one of my Monday groups, but she has not shared very much with the group about her story. So I'm going to be hearing a lot of it along with you in the first place. So Heidi, thanks for being here today.
Well, thank you for having me. So I reached out to you because I have been a food addict my entire life. Like since I was 2 years old, I'm 56 now, so my whole entire life. And it wasn't until I found the carnivore diet that I found complete peace and freedom with food. I started very, like basically carnivore plus very low carb vegetables for the first year. And then for the past 4 years, I've been basically lion diet. I would say like 98% lion diet. That's all I eat is red meat. And when I say carnivore, I mean 100%. Like I have not had one bite, lick, taste, sip, slip at all. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying that's what I've done. I am 100% abstinent. And we're going to talk about that. Once I learned that I needed to be 100% abstinent, then that's what changed everything for me. I'm not a moderator. I'll go back all the way back to when I was 2 years old. My first memory is my second birthday. I have a picture of it right here on my little counter, and I'm standing behind my cake and I am already lit up. And I remember I'd already run my finger across the back of that cake and licked off the icing off the back of the cake. Fast forward 5 years, I was 5 years old and kindergarten, and the little girl that I had to play with from down the street, she called me fat. I wasn't fat. I was normal. I was like I was a normal kid. She was just her sister was mean to her, so she was mean to me. And it took me about 50 years to kind of recognize that. Yeah. But that started it. 5 years of age, I've got this idea in my head that I'm fat. And, time goes on. I'm 7, 8 years old. I became a latchkey kid. So then I would go home to ice cream and I would, self-soothe and eat away my emotions. Somehow over time, I always still kept my weight normal. I guess I just had a normal enough metabolism, or I didn't like binge, but I was always seeking food. It was always seeking food. And then, as time went on, it was always about food. Like I knew something was not normal about me. Like my mom was a moderator. My mom is like this tiny little thing. I'm like 5'6", so I'm not like super tiny. My dad is a moderator. Everybody around me was moderators. I mean, but somehow it was always like, oh, we're going to go to somebody's house. I wonder what they're going to have to eat. Or, how could I like get in line again to get another serving? Or how could I sneak in there and, get some more chips and dip or, whatever it was. It was always like my mind was always about food. So, and I had a friend, I've gone to her house. They had a candy drawer in their kitchen. It's like, who had such a thing? My mom was like so frugal. We did not have candy. We did not have processed food, really. I mean, we just ate whole foods, normal food, and not a lot of junk, like really not junk at all. Ice cream, though. We did always have ice cream. But she had a candy drawer. And I just remember like thinking, like, how could I get to the candy drawer? Like without calling too much attention to myself. Then high school, now we're in like the, 80s and, everything's like fat free and all that kind of stuff. And, it was now like I was learning how to restrict. And so my lunch, in high school was a huge Granny Smith apple and a Diet Coke. And I think my mom thought that I was taking that Granny Smith apple along to school to actually eat with my lunch at school. I don't know, like to this day, I should actually ask her, like, did she give me lunch money? Was there lunch money? I mean, did I not eat the lunch? I don't know, but I wasn't eating school lunch and I wasn't bringing lunch. I was just eating my apple and my Diet Coke so that then later in the evening, I could go home and eat ice cream or make cookies. Anyway. So now we're going to go into college, and what am I going to do? What am I going to be for the rest of my life, right? Well, the only thing I know at this point is calories, diet, restrict. So now I'm going to become a registered dietitian.
Oh.
And in my mind, I thought that this was going to be the magical answer. If I became a registered dietitian, I was going to have like the knowledge, the secret to what it would take to effortlessly keep my weight in control and not be in this cycle of binge restrict and obsession and obsessed about food and my weight and bad body image and all that kind of stuff. And of course, what do they teach you in dietetic school? Moderation, right? Moderation, moderation, moderation. Eat your grains, don't eat fat, don't eat red meat, all the stuff that we have been being told for the last 30, 40, 50 years. I get my first job as a registered dietitian, I move away and I'm living on my own. And up until this point, my weight was always like normal. I would say like an ideal body weight. Now I'm on my own and I'm doing more eating, self-soothing and stuff like that. Yeah. Well, over the years, up until I was 50 and I changed things, I'd go up and down 5, 10 pounds. And then over the years, it would be 20 pounds and then 30 pounds. And at the end, I was like over probably 40 pounds overweight. It's the same cycle as everyone else. And in the meantime, I'm doing everything everyone else has done. Like I'm reading every diet book there is. I am reading The Zone. I am reading South Beach. I am reading Jane Brody's book. I'm reading Fit for Life. I'm reading Susan Powder, Stop the Insanity, Richard Simmons' Deal a Meal, Weight Watchers Points, Diabetes Exchanges, counting those calories. And I was so locked into those calories. I mean, calories to me, a calorie was a calorie is a calorie, but I couldn't ever manage my calories because I was a food addict because I was addicted to sugar, sweet tastes, flour, grains, and I didn't know it. I was trying to moderate, right? I was trying to moderate those foods. And so like, I'm talking about like the food noise. When I was eating one meal, I was thinking about the next meal. When I was, we were planning to go somewhere, what are we going to have? What are we going to go? Who's going to bring what? Who's going to serve this? All those things. And that we used to call that chatter. Now we call it food noise. And the GLP-1 community has really brought food noise to the forefront. Yes. They talk about, it's the disease of obesity. And I'm thinking, this is the disease of addiction. Because when you really listen to pretty much every single person that I've ever listened to on these GLP-1s, all they're talking about is food noise and how they can't moderate their food. And it's kind of like, yeah, because you're addicted to it. Yeah. So my challenge would be to anybody out there who's thinking about a GLP-1, if you haven't really, truly, consistently abstinent from foods you do not have sober behavior on, and I don't mean that you need to be 100% carnivore. It's what worked for me, but I also think I was a very rock bottom, end stage food addict, and I do think there is a spectrum to food addiction. And I know you, Kelly, do not let the taste of sweet pass your lips.
No,
not at all. And I don't either. So I'm not going to touch a apple pie carnivore bar with a 10-foot pole, but some people will. Or like Laura Spath. I love Laura Spath. She can drink a Diet Coke. People say, well, she drinks Diet Coke. That's great. I'm glad she can drink a Diet Coke and flavored electrolytes. But I'm telling you, for probably I would say 90% of the food addicts out there, sweet tastes are not going to work. And you're just continuing to light your brain up. And you might say, oh, well, it doesn't trigger me. It's triggering something. And it's why you can't stay consistent. Then about 10 years ago, keto came around, right? Yeah. Of course, I had to do that too, right? So I did keto. And keto worked until it didn't work anymore because I got into the keto treats and the keto snacks and then I couldn't moderate those. And I would take it a step further. I wouldn't just like, oh, I'm going to make keto brownies and now I'd overeat those. I would be like, these really aren't that good. I'm just going to make real brownies. So
yeah.
So that didn't work either. But in that algorithm, right now we're in the world of computers and algorithms and YouTube and stuff. Here comes Sean Baker, right? Carnivore diet. And of course, the dietitian in me was like, oh my God, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Okay. Yeah. But in the back of my mind, I was very intrigued by it, right? I was like, well, that's really interesting. Yeah, time goes on. You can say that maybe this was God in here. I came across a video with Heidi, the black carnivore.
I not only know her, I had lunch with her one day. Yes, she's great.
Okay. So I came across her and was listening to her story, and she was talking about her sugar addiction. And she was talking how she had worked with this woman named Florence Christophers to get her off sugar. And I was like, okay, well, maybe a year goes by, and I reached out to Florence. Florence is the one who does the Kick Sugar Summit. So there's the Quit Sugar Summit and the Kick Sugar Summit.
Okay.
And Florence is not carnivore. She loves her vegetables, but she is really into sugar addiction and abstinence from sugar, sweet tastes, flour,
Okay.
So, and also at that same time, I heard of Bitten Johnson and Vera Tarman. So, people, anybody out there, if you're resonating with any of what I'm saying and you have not heard of Bitten Johnson and you've done an interview with Bitten,
Yes.
they came along in my algorithm and it was like, okay, abstinence. This is an addiction. Like, this is actually a real thing. Like, abstinence is the answer. Like, nobody had ever told me that. Like, I just thought if I could manage my calories somehow, that's all I needed to do. And so I reached out to Florence and I worked with Florence. That's where we started with no sugar, no sugar substitute, no sweet tastes, no dates, no raisins, no honey, nothing.
Yeah.
No flour, no wheat flour, no white flour, no garbanzo bean flour, no cricket flour, no coconut flour. Because what do you do with flour? You make bread and cupcakes and replacements food. So no flour. And flour is refined, right? It's pulverized. And so it also has an insulin response. That's where my journey started 5 years ago. And also that's when I started weighing and measuring my food. Okay. And I have weighed and measured my food religiously for the last 5 years. So what basically started out as ribeye and low carb vegetables eventually just morphed into ribeye, strip steaks, sometimes burger patties, things like that. And that's what I have done for the past 5 years. And I weigh and measure it out. And I know people don't want to do that, but I'm going to tell you, for me, it gives me safety and it gives me freedom. I do not have the body signals that everyone else apparently has that you get full.
Yeah.
Dr. Barry and his, well, you just eat until you're comfortably stuffed. No, that's not really going to work for me so well, because I'll just keep eating and eating and eating.
Me too.
Love you, Dr. Barry, but that doesn't work for me. Probably works for a lot of people, not for me. So if I weigh and measure my food, not only do I know I'm not eating too much, I also know that I get every single morsel that's on that plate. Like, that's all mine. So I'm not shortchanging myself any either. And I know you have had plenty of people in your groups that undereat. That has also never been my problem.
No.
Ever. So I do weigh and measure, and I also eat pretty much the same thing, like, every day. I mean, I just do. And I love what I eat. I mean, it's just easy. I just eat a lot of steaks or, burger patties. Do I like chicken thighs? Yeah, I love chicken thighs. I love salmon. I love food. I'm a food addict. I love to eat. I love every kind of meat. I mean, there really isn't anything that you could probably stick in front of me that I wouldn't be happy eating. It's just, when I do eat chicken thighs, then I'm always like, oh, those are good, but I just wish I would have had my steak instead.
Me too.
But what I wanted to get to is, here's the problem. In the carnivore community, which I love the carnivore community, I think the carnivore community is like the best group of people ever. I've been to the last 2 meat stocks, and I went to the last Hack Your Health, and I'm going to the next Hack Your Health, and I'm going to the next meat stock. Like, the best people ever, right, Kelly? I mean,
Absolutely.
Everybody there, just good people. So anybody who's never been to an event, go to an event, because it's definitely worth it. But so here's my problem. We have a lot of people that come to carnivore for autoimmune problems, right? They come here because they have lupus, they have MS, they have ulcerative colitis, they have the Michaela Petersons of the world, right? Or they have, severe anxiety and depression, or they have epilepsy and they're doing, strict ketogenic or whatever. So, but they're not food addicts. Okay. They're not food addicts. They're just people here who have healed their selves with the magic of carnivore. Wonderful, wonderful. But now we've got other whole camp of people who are food addicts. And there's, I'm sure, people in between, right? I mean, there's
overlap.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. So the problem is though, like sometimes like when you've got influencers, now, like I said, Dr. Berry, love Dr. Berry.
Me too.
But he'll say like, eat until you're comfortably stuffed. All right, I get, he's talking to a million people literally, and most of them have total metabolic breakdown. They're 100 pounds overweight. They're eating crap, standard American diet. Probably, yeah, if they just ate beef, butter, bacon, and eggs until they're comfortably stuffed, magic is going to happen. But eventually, they're going to have to tweak it, right? I can be addicted to carnivore foods. I can't have a pound of bacon sitting in my fridge, just readily available for me. So if I just happen to get hungry, I'll eat the whole pound of bacon in a day. I also can't have heavy whipping cream in my house, Kelly Hogan, which I know you love, because that container will call my name and I will walk past that fridge 20 times until I've taken a sip out of it every single time and it's gone. Like, I cannot do it. Some people are like that with blocks of cheese. It's whatever you have food sober behavior around, in my opinion. But is Dr. Berry a food addict? Yeah. He has pretty much said, like there are certain things like he cannot have in his house or he'll eat them. And if he does, he'll puff right back up to his 297 pounds or whatever he was. Yeah. Dr. Baker, not a food addict, right? He can eat a piece of chocolate cake on his kid's birthday. No big deal. Doesn't think twice about it until the next birthday. Whatever. Dr. Chafee, not a food addict. He'll say, you just eat, you just keep eating. And when the food finally starts tasting like cardboard, that's when you stop. Well,
Never.
I say never stop. It's just like cardboard. Great what they're saying and great, and who they're helping, all these people with autoimmune problems or Lyme disease or epilepsy or depression. But us food addicts are kind of like, we're a little different. Like we have to listen very carefully. Like, okay, Bella, not a food addict, never been obese. She can eat 4,000 calories a day and she can eat a lot of butter. I can't do that. Love her. But again, us food addicts can't do some of this stuff. She loves to talk about feasting and fasting. Feasting and fasting might be great for a lot of people, but probably not for the food addict. We're really good at the feasting part. We're not very good at the fasting part. And I am not saying that I don't believe in the power of fasting. I do believe in the power of fasting. I think that, Jason Fung is right on. I think that Dr. Boz, if you join her 21-day course and you do some of the fasting and because you are metabolically damaged and broken and there is a reason to do it, I think it's great and fine. I am an intermittent faster. I eat 2 meals a day. And the reason I don't eat 3 meals a day is because then I have to divide my food up into 3 meals and they're too small for me and I want 2 bigger meals. I used to do all that. And so it was a big deal for me to actually get to 2 meals, which I actually think is healthier. I think that your body utilizes your protein better if you're not eating it all in 1 meal. But back to the feasting and fasting, I just don't think for a food addict, again, I'm not for anyone else out there who's not a food addict. And if this doesn't pertain to you and you've never had food noise in your life, like literally I had to explain what food noise is to a friend, like, like she had no idea. Wow. And she just was like, okay. But she's a total moderator, right? So feasting and fasting, I just don't think is ideal for a food addict. Dr. Sivas, total food addict, right? He admits it. And then there are a few influencers out there who I shall not name, who I love, but they are food addicts. They are self-proclaimed food addicts. They talk about it. They are food addicts. They've talked about moderation and abstinence. They know they're abstainers. They know they cannot moderate. They're in and out of the ditch constantly. There's always some kind of challenge or whatever going on. And they're always promoting apple pie carnivore bars and Equip Prime protein. And it makes me insane. And I have literally gone up to each one of them in person and tried to be really, really nice and said, like, do you realize that when you do this, all of these people follow them and love them. I follow them and love them. But it is so conflicting to have somebody who's a food addict then be telling you to drink this mint chocolate Equip Prime protein shake mixed with whipping cream. If you listen to the first 10 minutes of the Rena Primal podcast, her interview with Dr. Boz says one of the worst things that we can be putting in our bodies is protein powders. Yep, protein powder. Unless you don't have your teeth or you're a frail old lady that can't get your protein in, we don't need to be using protein powders at all. None of us, ever, really. I mean, there's a time and a place, whatever, but these chocolate, caramel, salted, whatever they are. And also, carnivore bar people, I love you. And I have eaten carnivore bars. I have bought carnivore bars. I have bought carnivore bars for my son, who is 22 and has been carnivore 100% for the last 2.5 years. We don't buy all these flavored ones. And now they have ones that actually have potato in them. And granted, they might not be that high in carbohydrate but still the ones have honey in them and they have sweet. And for food addicts, that's not a good combination.
Right.
Again, people with MS, Lyme disease, ulcerative colitis, whatever, if they work for you, good, buy them, sponsor them, support them. But for us food addicts, I'm sorry, I just think we need to stick with like the plain salted ones, and we don't need to be using any protein powder. So that's where I get frustrated that there is this like mix of influencers out there. We're all kind of trying to say the same thing, eat meat, but some people don't speak to the food addiction part, and that's fine because they don't really get it or relate to it, and it's not really part of their thing, and they're really trying to reverse chronic health conditions in a different population of people. That's like, the bakers and the chafies and the berries and those people.
Listen, I get it. We're talking about a lot of my friends, okay? and including and people you love too. I actually have this laying here right now, not because I had no idea what you were going to talk about today, to be honest, but I eat these a lot, and there is only one kind I will eat. It is the plain, well, I could have unsalted if they even still make them, but plain salted.
Yep.
Plain salted. And I have been offered, Heidi, the number of things that I have to give away or trash that are sent to me to say, hey, Kelly, love your account. Just wanted you to try our product. And it'll say carnivore on it. It'll say carnivore, well, like you say, even some of the flavored bars or keto brick or the flavored electrolytes. And I get sent these things. I will never taste them. I will give them.
What, Kelly?
Yes.
You have integrity, because you could also be making thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars if you would sponsor those, and people would just put that little link in there and they would support that. You could be making a ton of money, and you have more integrity than that.
Well, thank you for that. I will never, well, first of all, I don't even make money off of the things that I do use.
Well, you should. You should.
I have said from the beginning, I feel like it kind of clouds one's judgment on whether or not something really works for me if I know that if I talk about it, I'm going to get paid. And I just don't trust myself. I'm not saying I don't trust other people to decide that. I have really close friends who have some discount codes, but I don't trust myself to not let that cloud my judgment.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to all of these products, I will use, well, I don't use electrolytes anyway, but I have tried the unflavored, unsweetened, plain electrolytes. And you know what it tastes like? Salt water.
Yep.
Tastes like salt water. And I was like, well, that's not that appealing. Do I think I would have dropped those electrolytes if it had tasted like watermelon lemonade? I do not. I think I would have been hook, line, and sinker, not just hooked on the electrolytes. I probably would have been like, oh, yeah, I can't get by without my electrolytes. Yes, I can. Because it tastes like salt water. And I'm not hooked on it. And when it comes to, oh, I'm actually hungry, these everyday bars are bomb. I keep them with me because, like today, I had 3 meetings, and between 2 of the meetings, I was legitimately hungry. And a plain beef bar hits the spot when you're hungry. But even if I weren't hungry, throw some honey and blueberries, and what's hunger got to do with it? I completely understand what you are saying. As a former, I guess you could say, recovering food addict, I treat myself with kid gloves, and that is after 16 years of having nothing but meat. I do not think, oh, well, I'm probably healed enough to have some protein powder. Also, we're carnivores. We eat nothing but meat. Why do we talk more about protein powder than anyone else? We're eating protein all day. I don't understand either. Okay. But also, I don't know. I'm with you. All of these products have a place. If my husband were to start eating instead of the junk he eats, he were to start eating even these with the potato, I would be thrilled.
Yeah, they're better than something else, but
Yes.
yeah, and they are great. I eat them, my son eats them, and those little everyday bars, they're small, so you're not having to eat the whole 400 calorie thing. And who needs 400 calories
As a
right then?
snack,
Yeah, as
right?
a snack. Like, and some of these influencers, they do use some of these products, and they might say, "Well, I use them for my kids and stuff like that." Okay,
Yep.
fine.
Perfect.
Then say it's just for my kids.
Yeah.
But for some of the influencers out there, and not even them, anybody out there,
Anybody.
if you are struggling in your in and out of the ditch, and it's this constant, like we call it 1,000 day ones. Tomorrow,
Yes.
well, tomorrow,
Yes.
well, tomorrow I'm going to do better. Tomorrow, Monday, oh, the best year was the year that would start January 1, and if it was a Monday. For my entire life, it was always about the weight. It was always
Mhm.
about the weight. I got to lose 5 pounds, I got to lose 10 pounds, I got to lose 20 pounds. Oh my God, we have a wedding to go to, I have this to go to, I have that to go to, I don't fit in my clothes, what am I going to wear, like, oh, these look disgusting on me, like a lifetime of all of that. And when it finally was just so bad, like the self-loathing, like the every single night going to bed and like literally just hating myself, like, what is wrong with me? Like, why can't I just do one day? Why can't I do this? Okay, tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow I'm not going to do this. Okay, tonight was bad, but tomorrow's going to be better. When I first started working with Florence, she asked me, she's like, okay, so like, how long have you ever gone without actually having sugar? I was like, I think I've ever gone a day without having sugar. It was just eating sugar and crap. It was
Yeah.
awful. When it was finally no longer about the weight, and it was finally about, I was just miserable, like miserable in myself. I was just miserable, like to just keep living like this. And then, like I said, that was when I heard abstinence is the answer. I never would have thought ever in a million years that I would ever be able to give that stuff up. Like, it would never have crossed my mind either, though, right? Because if I could fit my calories, why would I have to give it up? But once I started kind of like getting it through my head, like, okay, this was the answer. And then I would hear people's stories and I would hear them talk about it. It was kind of like, all right, this is what I need. This is what I need to do. And it works,
It works.
like it works. And carnivore has quieted my food noise. Like, I don't have food noise on
Mhm.
carnivore. Every single food addict out there, you know exactly what you can and cannot moderate. Like,
Mm.
like, you don't need to try it again. You don't need to try just one more time just to see. Carnivore works. Carnivore works because it takes all of those variables out of the equation. Also, it's healthy and wonderful and delicious. But like I said, I can still be addicted to carnivore things because I could still sit down and eat an entire pound of bacon, no problem. Sometimes people talk about like having red, yellow, green circles of your foods, like
The
some people,
stoplight.
right,
Stoplight.
like ribeye's a good choice for you, but cheese, some people, they eat cheese, but maybe they only eat cheese like when they're on a trip or in a restaurant or at somebody's house or something like that. And then obviously all the other junk goes in the red circle. But the same thing is for people and places. And when you're very first kind of starting this out, I said no to a lot of things. Now, I'm not like a super social person anyways, and I had to stop hanging out with certain friends. And now we go for a walk instead. So instead of meeting out for Mexican and things like that, now we just go for a walk.
Yes.
Kelly, you have said it all on your videos, over and over and over again, all the tips and tricks, eat before you go, bring purse bacon, have something planned for when you get home so you don't have like a post-event collapse.
Post events collapse.
Yeah,
Yes.
that type of thing. There's nothing that's going to make me break my sobriety. Like, there's no situation that's going to be that awkward or
No.
weird or pushy or whatever that's going to make me break my sobriety just to make them happy. You know what? Then I am just not going to eat. I'm not going to die over the course of an hour or two in a situation. If I forgot to eat beforehand or I don't have something with me or whatever, it's okay. It's okay.
I do not do really well when I am very hungry. It's not that I think I'm going to give in and eat carbs. I feel sad when I'm really hungry. So I do almost always keep something with me. Purse bacon. We always joke about purse bacon. And some folks may be watching. In fact, I have an interview coming out with a woman where she became carnivore almost exclusively with bacon.
Oh,
She
wow.
got such great results with bacon. Now, somebody watching this, I'm going to speak to those of you watching right now. If you just heard Heidi say, "Oh, I can't keep bacon because I would eat a pound of bacon in the day," you might be thinking, what's wrong with eating a pound of bacon in the day? Well, for Una, who was just on my channel, not a thing in the world. In fact, it helped her to get off of the foods that were really hurting her. She lost a lot of weight eating at least a pound of bacon in a day. So there's nothing inherently wrong. In fact, a lot of what I hear you saying, Heidi, is know thyself. Really know yourself. And I get people in the groups who know that they are sugar addicts, and yet they are having the same protein powders and sweetened carnivore. To me, that is such a contradiction. A sweetened carnivore food is not a carnivore food in my opinion, but they're having the protein powders every morning. They're having the flavored electrolytes throughout the day, and they wonder why they can't break up with sugar. They'll say, I'm still having cravings. If that's not the case, if someone knows thyself and you know that it's not causing an issue and you're never going into as you said, into the ditch, fine. But that I don't think will ever be the case for you and I, Heidi.
No.
We know ourselves well enough to know. I don't care if every other carnivore influencer on earth is chugging all that stuff all day long. I know it's not for me. And I don't care what other flavors of bars and bricks and everything else that are invented. I'm sure they're delicious and I'm sure they are perfect for some people. And I am glad that they are being made because they are infinitely better than a lot of the foods being made. And better is good, but they're not for me.
Nope.
No.
Well, and I do want to say about the bacon, you're right. Like let's say I was having a terrible, terrible day, and, I try not to resort to food over my emotions
Yeah.
anymore. We're human, right? We're,
Yes.
we're people. Like sometimes, I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I still find myself standing in front of the refrigerator, just looking in there.
Yes.
There's nothing in there for me and I don't need to be eating it, right? Yeah, I would definitely eat a pound of bacon over a cookie,
Yeah, absolutely.
a piece of pizza or, whatever, so yeah, there's nothing wrong with eating a pound of bacon at all if that's what's going to keep you on the straight and narrow.
Yes.
What I'm saying though is, oh, just keeping that bacon around because, you might just need a strip bacon here and there. Well, I'll just be back and forth in the fridge all day long until that bacon's gone for no real reason other than I know it's there and it's calling for me.
When I have any food that starts talking to me all day, it has to leave my house.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is the tell. If
Yep.
I lose my peace over something, it's got to go. I have never lost my peace over a pack of ground beef. I
Nope.
have never lost my peace over a flat of sardines. I've never lost my peace over hard-boiled eggs, right?
Yep.
But there are some foods, and bacon is one with me. Not the pre-cooked that you buy in the box. I keep that around my house. It doesn't really faze me. But really good, thick, crispy bacon, even if I'm not hungry, it'll sometimes just start calling to me.
Yeah.
The heavy cream can stay in my house, but I have rules about it because I only use it on a fat fast. If I'm doing a fat fast, it's there and I use it. If I'm not doing a fat fast, then I know it's no more for me than my kids. My kids are not 100% carnivore. That heavy cream is not for me on a normal carnivore day any more than their stuff is. So sometimes just having a rule. The stoplight diet, the first place I ever saw it referenced was a book. I want to say it was either late 70s or early 80s. I'll put the author's name up here. And in our group, assistant coach Nanette, she talks about the yellow for her is more like, she calls them festival foods. And don't go to the place of like deep fried garbage. But for her, she thinks if I'm at a party, I may have some cheese cubes. That's her yellow foods. It
Yep.
is in a very certain situation where she is controlled. It doesn't come home with her and it never gets non-carnivore. It's just those specific, like she wouldn't normally eat pepperoni. And if any of you are wondering why, first of all, we're eating beef. We don't need pepperoni. It's not really the most nutritious choice. But at a party, I might have some pepperoni too. It's a festival food. It's in that yellow section. It's not my primary diet. It can get Moorish. Have you ever heard the word Moorish? I want to say somebody from Australia said that word to me first, where the more you eat, the more you want. So it's
Yep.
Moorish. And pepperoni can be that way with me. So, Heidi, I think you have said what a lot of people, myself included, don't always want to say because we're not trying to put anyone down. We're just being really honest about what we can handle. And that may or may not apply to you watching, but I think it is worth really reflecting. Are these sweetened things helping me with my sugar addiction problem? Is it helping me to reach my goals? Am I simply having it because it tastes really good and it gives me something to enjoy all day long, but it's also leading you back to other things? I think that is a really fair question to ask. And I think you're right. A lot of the people who are encouraging these products, some of them don't have the struggles at all that we had, but some of them do. I know you're right that some of them do, and I don't think it's helping to keep that sweet. It's literally, and somebody had to explain it to me when I found the carnivore community, literally the sweet taste touching your lips or tongue. It has to stay off of my tongue.
Yep.
And to me, it's huge. And that was, by the way, when I first found the carnivores, that was part, it wasn't like, if you have a history of this, that was just carnivore.
Yeah.
And there were no sweetened anything being promoted. No one was like, oh, well, if it agrees with you, use some allulose drops or use some of the, that was not considered carnivore back then.
Well, let's also then talk replacement foods. You know, there are some wonderful cookbooks out there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Maria Emmerich has made a million of them.
Yeah.
Courtney Luna's cookbook is wonderful. Jenny Minich has one out. There are some fantastic cookbooks out there. But I would say, like those are not for every day. When you start getting into the replacement foods, you start getting into some slippery territory as well, and you need to be careful. Do I make some of those things? I do from time to time, mostly for my son. Not really so much for me. Again, I don't really need to be lit up by some of that stuff, or maybe like a special occasion, again, a holiday. But there's so many influencers out there that, again, we want to get clicks, you want to get clicks. And so, you got to put the recipes out there and things like that. And then regular people think, oh, I can be eating that. I can be eating that. So just because they show themselves making it doesn't mean that they are eating it all the time either. Or if they are, they probably shouldn't be, because some of that stuff can be a slippery slope, I think.
Well, here's one for you. I made a little video with my son of this carnivore bread. The base is egg, and it's got cheese, bacon, cream cheese. Okay. It is really good. And when my friend Jennifer, a local friend, she was standard American diet, type 2 diabetic. I mean, so many health issues. I was telling her how great, she's like, but I just love bread. I said, oh, Jennifer, I have an amazing bread recipe. If she had switched completely to that, and I'm not really sure, for a while she was doing carnivore, maybe still is, perfect. How great would it be if I could have gotten her to just switch bread? Switch from that flour to then carnivore bread. When I make it and it's at my house, Heidi, I had to quit. I made a couple loaves. My kids loved it all day. In my ear is this bread. And if some of you are thinking, well, why not just eat it? I did. I would eat a very, very adequate amount and then wanted more and more and more. And I'm not hungry because would I have eaten a burger patty, a hard-boiled egg, a can of sardines, a New York strip? No. It's in my ear all day, and it's not worth it to me. If I lose my peace, I would rather not have it at all.
The old me would have eaten it all just to have gotten rid of it, or I would have put it in the garbage can, but not put dish soap all over it. And then I would have fished it out of the garbage can later because, I have eaten stuff out of the garbage can back in the day.
So I'm so happy that these recipe books exist. Yeah. I think they're amazing. I have passed out these carnivore recipe books to so many people who have said, oh, I really think this would help me, but I don't think I can give up the pizza. Oh, girl, we can make pizza that tastes better than your pizza. I mean, truly, it's so good. And I think it is a wonderful thing in its place. And for somebody that's watching now, you might think, why are they bashing carnivore pizza? We're not. We're just saying it it's not necessarily giving me the peace and the freedom, the results that I want right now. It's not a win for me to keep it in my house either. Whereas my fridge can be stocked full of steak, eggs, even butter. I don't find myself going to the fridge thinking, oh, I got to eat more butter, more butter, more butter. Not at all. Steak, eggs, sardines, and butter, burger patties. There is no noise at all. I eat. I am satisfied. I do not eat till I'm stuffed. And another thing I want to point out for me is in the moment I am eating, I could eat massively more than I do. 30 minutes later, I feel, they say eat till comfortably stuffed. 30 minutes after I'm done eating, I'm not comfortable because I really tend to be an overeater. I'm like, oh my gosh. So like you, I know what a very appropriate portion size is for me. And I know that in 30 minutes after I eat it, I will be satisfied. I will be able to go 4 to 5 hours without thinking about food. So it's a tricky thing saying, oh, well, should we weigh and measure our food? Well, I don't know. Are you a brand new carnivore or are you somebody who just knows that you tend to overdo or underdo, my little undereaters out there? Because there are many, many of you. It can be a helpful tool. A keto brick can be a helpful tool. A flavored electrolyte, if you were drinking full out soda, can be a helpful tool. And we're also here to say if they aren't helping anymore, they can also be harmful. So it's really important to know where you are, where you come from, and not to be influenced by us or anyone else. Just simply truly pay attention to how your body and your brain, how your brain reacts to these things. I I hope this is really helpful to people, Heidi. I think it will
I
be.
hope so.
Yeah. For,
Well, the one thing that if you wanted to throw in here, the other thing that, well, it's what you talked about at Monday's meeting was, you talk to people and they just started carnivore and you say, how long have you been doing it? I've been doing it 2 weeks. But now I'm going to do a sardine fast. Now I'm going to do a fat fast. Now I'm going to do it. And it's like, no, 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 no.
yeah.
Just
Just eat meat.
let's just eat meat for a while. And
Yeah.
you know what? You don't need to weigh and measure even right away in the beginning.
No.
And you don't even just eat meat. Get off of the crap. Get off of this. Like there's going to be some adjustments. You might go through some withdrawal. You're gonna, the first couple weeks are the hardest, and then a few months where you're just eating meat. Just get some momentum.
Yeah.
And then see what happens and quit worrying about the scale. Like I said, it had to not be about the scale anymore. It just had to not be about the scale. It had to be about my peace and sanity, right? Peace and freedom. It's like, I came for the vanity, but I stayed for the sanity type of thing. And once you finally, all right, you've been carb sober and you are free and you have some peace and the food's not calling to you and it's not this food noise 24/7 and you're not miserable anymore, then all right, then you can start tweaking some things and maybe you do your TDEE and then you start tracking and weighing and measuring and doing some of that stuff. But in the beginning, yeah, eat meat, eat your meat, eat your eggs, eat your seafood, eat your bacon if you like your bacon, and your carnivore bars, but not the apple pie ones.
The others are fantastic. They're meat and salt. They keep for literally decades. Forever.
I do make pemmican. Have you ever made pemmican?
I have had homemade pemmican. I have not actually gone through the process myself. It's not a quick and easy process.
No, but it's not hard. But you know what? The carnivore bars are expensive. And like I said, I have a 22-year-old son who's 6 foot tall and 200 pounds and muscular. He eats a lot. Yes. So carnivore bars, like I just can't afford, so I make pemmican for him and he loves it.
I am very thankful, though, that the new ones are cheaper than the old ones.
Yes.
The old bars were about $15 each, and these are now $5. They are great to have on hand for those moments where you're kind of caught off guard. And again, if you think, oh, here's a commercial, I'm not getting paid a penny from anybody. I love what you say about measuring because it makes you feel safe. And that's where I am, too. I know for me, I eat 3 times per day. It makes my body feel very safe to get regularly scheduled, nutritious meals with at least that 30 grams of protein, with plenty of fat, which what I know is enough fuel, whether you call it energy, fuel, calories, whatever you want to call it, right? it does make my body feel safe. It also makes me feel very mentally secure to know that I'm getting enough. To be fair, I do the same with my dogs. I cut off an exact amount. They get the exact amount of meat every day. I know that it's enough that they aren't begging and hungry. I also know that it's not too much for them. And I'm not a dog, but I do feel best with regularly scheduled meals. And when you mentioned the safety part with the feasting and fasting, that binge cycle starts with restriction. When someone restricts and undereats, that is where the binging began. And I'm not saying that as an expert, but I've listened to a lot of experts. That binge cycle for me definitely began in high school with extreme undereating. So when my body feels the restriction part, bet money it's going to go to the binge part. If I do not restrict, meaning I get my 3 solid meaty meals per day, that binge voice is gone. I am satisfied. I feel safe. I feel fed. I sleep well. I have good energy. So for some of us, that tracking is like a nice little offense. We say sometimes a fence can actually feel like safety, not like a hindrance. It makes us feel safe. Okay.
Totally agree.
So you've got a 22-year-old son. Just curious, why does he do carnivore?
Okay. So, and this is probably a more important story than my story, but I'll just tell it real quick. So he always struggled with anxiety and depression. He was on Zoloft since he was in 6th grade. He struggled. Went off to college. His second year of college, it was so bad. He was talking about suicide. He had to come home. He withdrew from college. And we're talking about, this is a smart young man.
Yeah.
It was awful. He's like I said, he's my only child. It was the worst time in any of our lives. He did not attempt suicide, but he was talking about it too much. It was just horrible. And I had already been carnivore by that point. I had already heard testimonials on what carnivore could do. And I always thought carnivore would be good for him. But it was like, well, how's he going to do this? You know, he's in college, he's living off of Chick-fil-A and pizza and stuff like that. And so when he was home, I said, all right, what do you think? I think it could help you. And he was like, okay. Kelly, within 3 days, he was an entirely different person. 3 days. And, you know, Georgia Ede talks about that all the time in her book, Change Your Diet, Change Your Mind. Chris Palmer talks about it in Brain Energy. If you have anybody struggling with mental health, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, anxiety, depression, she talks about how it's sometimes 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months is how long it takes to see the change. It was 3 days.
3 days. Wow.
And he is never varied from it. 2.5 years. He went to a different school. He's at a school with 43,000 students, a huge campus. And he has stayed carnivore, tried and true. He's pursuing 3 degrees. He's very smart. Computer science, math, and Russian. I always say he got my blonde hair and blue eyes and he got his dad's brain. Thank God. But he does it. He's made it work, and he studied abroad last summer and he made it work. He will never go back to any kind of regular eating. I mean, he literally had the why that makes you cry, right?
Yes.
And he knows what it has done for him. I mean, it has changed his life, saved his life. I think it saved his life. So carnivore is powerful. But now he's not a food addict, right? So like he can eat keto bricks. Okay. No problem for him to have some keto brick. Anyway, carnivore can change your life in a lot of different ways.
It sure can. We talk a lot about weight loss. There are so many reasons other than weight loss. And I say this as someone who is happy that I lost weight. You say this as someone who is probably thrilled to not be micromanaging less food, using that book of calories and trying your hardest while still struggling with the up, down. We can just eat an amount of meat that we know is appropriate, an amount of meat that keeps us energized, keeps us free from food noise, that keeps us satisfied. And now we can just use all that headspace for other things. Thank you. Like coming here to share this with you. Heidi, thank you. I think your story will reach some people. And for all of you watching, if you ever need help, it is easier to do this with people who understand, because there are a lot of people who either don't get it or they are not ready to acknowledge it, so they don't want you to get it. But when you're with a group of people where the whole screen is nodding and saying, yep, Yep. If you nodded along with Heidi for the last however many minutes, then you know why she is here sharing what she's sharing. Because freedom is amazing and we just want it for y'all too. So if you need help, come join us. We meet together every Monday and we've got a lot of folks there who have been there and have reached freedom, and others who are working towards it because they're new. Whether it's your first day or your 10th year, it helps to be surrounded by people who understand. So hope to see you back next Saturday. Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you.
Bye. Awesome. Let's
Okay.
have a quick word of prayer to close. Heavenly Father, thank you, God. I feel like you were in this place, and I appreciate you. And I thank you for Heidi's experience and also her boldness in speaking up with what she feels people need to hear. And I pray that each person that hears it will hear it with the love that it was intended and with her desire to help other people to feel good and to have the freedom that she feels. And I pray that you will be the source of comfort for people, not junk food. I pray that you will be what strengthens us and that you will help those who need to make a change. And I ask for your guidance through the Holy Spirit. And I ask it in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.